Hello crafty friends, Louise Heinzel here. Welcome back to a new video. So this is going to be a tutorial video. It was a requested video because there were many people who asked me how I made this 3D journal cover. I showed you this on photos in several Facebook groups, and I also have a flip through of this on my channel. So if you would like to check it out and you perhaps don't know what I'm talking about here, go to my channel and my playlist of my flip-through videos so that you can look into this journal. And many people said, okay, that looks awesome. Thank you for that. So again, I said that before, but I was so happy about all the positive reactions about this cover here, and I'm really happy that you asked me how I did this, because I wanted to make a new tutorial and struggled a little bit. What can I put to my channel? And now I have this topic because you requested it. So in this video, I think I have to cut it into several parts, so that you can see step by step how I did this here. And I think in this first step, we will only attach the doll to the cover, because that's something like a little bit tricky part. And in the next part of the video, I will show you how I colored it. So I decided to make this two parts of the video because there were people who wanted to know how to attach and glue this down and how to get this sturdy surface here. And the other people wanted to know how I colored the face and how I made this shading and how I got the structure of the hair and such things. So the questions about this were very different, and so I thought it would be it would make more sense when I take two parts of this video, so that you can watch what you are interested in. And I don't want to bore you with some things that you perhaps already know. So as you can see, this is a very thick thing here on top of this cover. And that's, I think, the main problem of this whole thing. So let me tell you what you will need if you would like to make such a cover. I used an old book cover like this. So let me just bring this away here. Oops, sorry. I used an old book cover, and I prepared some here. As you can see, they are in several sizes. And that has a reason, because, I will tell you in a second. The problem is the dimension of this whole thing. I prepared different book covers here, and I also prepared what's the main thing on this cover. So here are some Barbie dolls and some other dolls. So what I used for the base of this whole thing was such a doll. But I recognized that there are different kinds of dolls, obviously. So not only the size, so like this smaller one here or a bigger one like this, but also the material, so the material of the body, the material of the hair, and also the material of the face. So there are some things that you have to check out with your own dolls if you want to use them for this, that I will tell you now. There are, let's start with the head. There are dolls like this little tiny one here that have a very sturdy head. So when you squeeze it like this, you can't change the shape of the head. This one here, for example, this Barbie doll, this original Barbie doll, when you squeeze the head, you can see it makes like this, and it's flexible. The body of such a doll is also made out of different kinds of plastic materials. The upper part of the body as you can hear, in the most cases, it's such a hard plastic. The legs, they are made out of a little bit more flexible stuff. So in the most cases, you also can make the legs like this, and you can turn them like this. And yeah, you have to have this in mind, please, because the look of the whole thing is a little bit weird when the upper part of the body is too thick. So let me just bring the book back so that I can show you that. When you look to the book from this direction, you can see that the head, when you look to this Barbie doll, that the head is a little bit more to the back than in the original. I tell you how I made that. And when you look like this, you see that the lower part is a little bit flatter. That is because I removed the legs and the this part here from the Barbie doll to have it not such such big and such hard on the cover. So I wanted it to be 3D and dimensional, of course, but the whole dimension of the book is very important for me. And when I have it in my hand and I look from here and here, I don't know if you can see that in my camera, it's a whole thing where nothing is too much. It's much, but it's not too much that you think, oh, I can't handle this book. Because I want to have the person who gets this, that she can write in the book. And when you open it, you want to have this flat on the table. And when you especially write on the left side of the book, then you want to lay it flat and not 5 or 6 centimeters here that are in the way when you want to write in it. Okay, so that's the first thing that I had in mind when I made this, that I have to manipulate my original doll in a way that fits to the proportions of the cover in this height and width, and also in the in this direction, so that it's not too much above the cover, so out of the cover. Yeah, I have problems with the small words in English, sorry, but I think you know what I mean. So when I, for example, sorry, I have to put that out of the way. When I, for example, think, okay, I want to make a small book with not such a thick spine, when I want to leave the spine like it is here from this old book, I only have cut the pages out here, as you can see. Then I could put this thing here as a focal point to the middle of the book. So, for example, for a little mermaid thing, I could put something like this, a mermaid thing that they have here on their, how is this called? Mermaid tail? Is it tail? I don't know. You know what I mean. So I could put a little doll here to a very big cover as a focal point and add much things around. That's one way to do it. For me, this would be nice. If I would take this thing here, so this cover, let me do it like this, and I put it here, I think the cover would be too big for this little doll. When I look at this whole thing, and I can clamp it here like this with my finger, and I look from this side, I think, yeah, that's the proportion is not such a harmony than when I put it to this or to this. I think they are, yeah, that's a little bit smaller, but I think that would be okay too. And I think, why am I talking about this stuff so long? I think you have to have a really good imagination about this, because you will cover up this whole stuff. And of course, the doll will not look the same. So in the end, when you compare this end result with the original Barbie, it was a similar one like this, then you can see there's nothing that they have, yeah, to do with each other. So I wanted it to be, yeah, that you can see this doll, of course, but I wanted it like that you can't see that it's a Barbie doll. So I think only the hands and the arms and the position of the arms remind me to a Barbie doll. So the rest of it is covered up completely. And that is a point that you, yeah, should have in mind when you do that. And there are also dolls that have a very small head, like this one here, for example. So I think this clothing here would be very nice for this. And I think you could do several things with it. But for me, this little tiny thing here, this head, would be too small to paint. So if you are an expert in painting really tiny things, so you can see my finger here. Sorry, it's a little bit dirty because I did some eco dyeing last night. This is very small, and when you can handle to paint it, of course you can use it. But for me, it's easier to take a doll that has a little bit bigger head like this. So hopefully you can see that in my camera. The right one is a little bit bigger than the left one. And I found in my childhood box a doll like this, the right one with this pink dress here. And I think that would be the easiest way to take this one here, because the head is very big. And especially the area where the original eyes are. I think the eyes are the most complicated thing to paint. So make sure that you have a surface where you think that you can handle it. Because when you covered it up and you want to paint it and you think, okay, that's too small, then it's too late. So make that, have that in mind before you start with it. Of course, you could also use a man. So this can here, for example, it has to be a wife, so a woman. He has a very hard head too. So please make sure that you choose one that has a little bit flexible head. So I will tell you in a second why. For the original dress or this jacket that my original piece has, I used such a thing that the can has here. So as you can see, this is such a jacket, and you can, put it off and, make your things. For example, put this here away and then put it back to him. The only difference was that this was a little bit longer, so that I could manage this waves here on the cover. So in original, it was such a normal, thing. This here, hopefully you can see that in the camera, it's a little bit thicker material, and how do you say, it's something like rough. So it's not such glossy or something like that. So that I thought that it would be very easy to glue this. The material of this thing that you put to your doll is very important, because you glue it with this dress or coat or jacket or whatever you put to the doll. You don't glue the doll itself, but this that you have. Because I think it's the most easiest way to use something that belongs to the doll, so the original clothing, for example, instead of making something new. Of course, when you are a sewing expert and you can sew such tiny clothes, of course you can do something by your own. When your Barbie doll is naked or something like that, of course you can sew something. But I would recommend to glue it with this fabric and not with the plastic here under it. Okay, that's that. The next thing that I found out in the meantime is, when you look at a Barbie doll, then sometimes when you look like this and you put something flat under it, then sometimes it lays flat like this. So that would be no problem to glue like it is. Unfortunately, the Barbie doll of my original piece was not like that. And I realized that I don't have a second doll that is such complicated, because when I lay this down, as you can see, it lays flat. On the original piece, I had the problem that this part of the body here was too thick, so that the head came out like this. And I had no chance to glue that because, yeah, I can't show you because my original doll is on the other book. But please believe me, that was really, really strange. When I wanted to glue her here, the head made something like this and I couldn't glue her. So when you choose a doll, please take her and put it to the cover and make sure that you have a really flat surface between the back and the head. If you don't have that, you can do that what I did in the with the other doll. So I took a very sharp knife, such thing where you can cut really strong material, and then I cut on this line here. Hopefully you can see that. In this line, the Barbie doll is glued together from the brand that made it. And also under the arms, you can, here you can't see it, but I think here, you can see this little line here. And on this line, the two pieces, the front and the back of this body thing, are glued together. And I cut here into this little line, and then with many patience and really carefully, I removed the back, and then I put the jacket back to her, and then I glued her so that this back thing is not too thick and that I have enough surface to glue. I can't show you that in this case because I don't have any doll where this is the fact. But yeah, perhaps you like to glue her like this because, yeah, when it's not too thick, then I think that is possible. But what you have to do is you have to remove the legs in any case, I think, because the normal books are not such big that you can attach the whole thing. And I think that looks a little bit weird, and I think it looks like a Barbie doll in the end, and you have no piece of art, but you have a painted Barbie doll. So let's remove this thing here. So in some cases, as you can see, I'm a little bit surprised. That's a very easy thing, of course. On the first, I just try to get it back in here so that I can show you what this is made, but I can't put it into this. So that was very easy. In some cases, it's not so easy. Sometimes you have to, I have to check this here. In some cases, you have to cut into this body here and here to make a little slot that you can get this thing here out. And I just see that this is not made in the same way with every Barbie doll. So as you could see, this was very easy to take it out, but in some cases it's not so easy. And as I said, take a really sharp knife and cut in here, and then you can break it a little bit and move it around like this, and then you can take it apart. And then you can also check if you can put it here, and if this fits here to the rest. I would recommend to decide what to do with the hair and the hairstyle of your end product in the very beginning. Because the hair of such a doll is very thick, and when you want to put it like this, then you have to have this in mind when you look to it like this. Because this material is under the head, and that makes the head go a little bit more in this direction where my finger is yeah, in this direction. And when you would put, for example, the hair like this, then you have a very big space here behind the neck. Hopefully you can see that. And you have to decide if you can glue this without that it falls apart. Even if you have this little space here. So please decide what's the best way to glue. I decide the hairstyle in the way I can glue it. So when I, for example, put the hair a little bit like this, I have more surface behind the neck to glue it. And that's very important because we don't want to make this fall apart in the end. So I decided, because there were many questions about different styles, because some people don't like vampires, and I thought, okay, what else can we do with such a Barbie doll? It mustn't be, it don't have to be a vampire. So I think all those themes like mermaids and fairies, something like that, or something like a princess, would be something that would work. And it also belongs to the things that you have when you would like to use the original clothing, of course. So for example, I have this little thing here where I think that could fit a little bit good, perhaps. And so I will make several bases. Let me tell it like let me call it like this. I will make several bases on these 3 covers to make different end results. So yeah, I will speed up the video while I'm doing this, and I do it the same way with every doll. I will remove the legs, and then I will decide which one with which clothing, with which hairstyle will come to which cover. And yeah, then I will be back and I will tell you the next steps. Yay. Okay, so the legs of this one here are removed. As you could see, I had to cut them here. So this is, yeah, very flexible, so that you can cut it very easily here with such a knife. So that we only have this top part here of our doll. And now I will decide which one goes to which cover. So I think I will turn this one here into a mermaid, because it has the longest hair, and I think long hair and mermaid, that fits very cool together. And I also decided to take this little doll here. I don't know until now what I will do with her, but yeah, let's see. And this one here would go into this vampire look. So let me just check which cover will fit for which doll. I would like to use this skirt here for this vampire look, because it's very fluffy and very, yeah, very much material to get this wavy look that we had on the original book here. So here I had much material too, to get this little crumbles here, and also to get this look in the end. So I think that would fit very good. For that I only put, oh, let me check what she has to get on the top. I have another thing here where I thought that would be a nice combination of this little fluffy arms here and the rest. So let me just get this out of here. Okay. Then let's turn it to this one here. And another thing I just recognized is the position of the arms, or the flexibility of the arms. Oopsala. So the other one that I glued to the other cover had an arm form like this. So as you can see, the arm is like this here, and on this one this arm is in a straighter way. And when you put this here, you can see which possibilities you have when you have the arms like this or like this flat thing here. You could put something between here, for example. You can also attach a closure or something like that, or like I did on the original book. Here you can attach such an ornament, for example. This one here that I put on this hand here is an old earring with this beautiful ornament here, and I just pressed the, oopsala, sorry, you can't see anything, sorry. I just pressed this little thing here through the plastic of the arm, the hand, and then I put this original thing back to the to this little thing here, this metal thing. Hopefully you can see that. So it's only pressed through the hand of this plastic arm doll, Barbie doll hand. Yeah, you know what I mean. And then I attached it here. It's not glued, so that you can remove it if you don't like it. Then you have a little hole here, and you can put anything else into it. When the arm is in this direction, like it is here, then you also could attach a little closure here that goes around the whole journal and comes back to the arm, for example. When you would like to do that, then it would be good when you have an arm position like this. When you would like to have it very flat, then you can choose an arm position like this. Or when you only have one doll, then you have to live with that what you have. Okay, so let's close that here on the back. So I put the cloth that I have to the doll like it would be attached here when she has legs or something like that. And then, yeah, I just think what I'm doing here with this little string here on the back. So let's first put this on top. I leave this, I don't cut it, because then I have a little bit more flexibility with the stuff and the things that I can do with these waves on the skirt. Just have to check how this can be. Yeah. Then I will close this here. Of course, you can also cut it, but I can perhaps, yeah, when she has no legs, it's a little bit tricky. Yes, I think I will cut that, because I can't make a knot when this part is here. So I just, let me check how this is attached. It's sewn there. So let's cut it here and here. And perhaps this little thing. And you don't have to be very careful how you cut this, because later on we will cover that up completely, so that's not so important. So let's try it again and bring this here through this skirt. That's not so easy. No, now I know the reason why Barbie dolls have legs. Yeah, okay, so let's do it like this. And let's just place it here. And you also don't have to care about if you have some ink or yeah, some dust or something like that on the clothes. I thought, okay, they are all washed, so this is washed in my washing machine, and some things stayed there because this is, I think, 30 years old, and of course this white fabric is not white anymore on all places, but I think when it's washed it's not the problem. So for this one I would like to attach this original clothing here again, because I think for a mermaid or something like that, perhaps it will be only similar to a mermaid and not an original mermaid, I don't know. But I think this the structure here of this little dress here is very nice for that. Hopefully with the cover up it will be nice in the end too. And yeah, I just have to think about what we do with this thing here on the end. I don't know until now. And for this, I put the clothes away, as you could see in the faster video part a few minutes ago, just to check if I can glue it, because as I said in the beginning, when this is not something like flat, then you can't glue it so good. So to make sure that this is the fact, I put the clothes away, and now I put it back here. And I like to take the original clothes because they have the right size, of course. And yeah, everything that fits to a normal Barbie doll, I think, would be possible for the bigger dolls. But for example, in this case here, that's not an original Barbie doll, as you can see. That would be not so fine when you try to get other clothes that are not made for this kind of doll, when you try to get them to her body, because that wouldn't fit so nice, and it would perhaps look a little bit weird when you try that. Yeah, don't know if I like that. Let's see. So is here, oh yeah, that has to be like this. Oops. So she has not very flexible feet. And I'm just thinking this could be a mini mermaid base too, because this thing here has no opening here at the end, and it looks a little bit until now like here could be this little thing here on the bottom, but I don't know until now. Yeah, but I think this will be the thing I would like to do it, because I think the width of this would be nicer for the mermaid, because I need this space here, but I think this is a little bit too small. But perhaps I think the head can go around there. Perhaps you can put it like this, a little bit more to the top, like this. Yeah, let's do it like this. So I just have to find a little solution for this here, for this little thing here on the end of the mermaid. I'm back in a second. Okay, I found this one here. That's also very fluffy and a little bit thicker. So that's the same thing with as with this skirt, when it's a little bit a little bit more fluffy, then it's much easier to handle. And now I'm thinking about to attach this here in some way. So this is a normal dress, as you can see, with this topping here. Perhaps we can put it like this, so that it looks like it is one, and then later on we can do it like this and make this little thing that the mermaid has here on the end. So I would like to have something that looks like a mermaid, that reminds to a mermaid, but that's not such extremely clear a mermaid. So I think with my vampire look here, it's the same, because yeah, it has not this typical teeth here, and perhaps it needs some blood in the face or something like that, so that it's not such a typical vampire thing. And yeah, I would like to try it with this, something like a mermaid piece too. Okay, so let's start with this one. To cover this up, I use Mod Podge or this photo transfer thing to glue it down to the cover, and then I use normal white gesso to cover it up. So the first thing I would like to do is, one second please, I take this little original thing here and try to get the hair a little bit more, yeah, like it has to be, because that's a thing that you can't change in the end. And I recognized at the other thing, on the other book, that it's very, very hard to handle when it's such something like weird and when these little fibers come out too much, because later on when you put the gesso over it, you have these fibers and this single hairs everywhere. And I think it's a good idea when you make it like this, and I think you can yeah, handle it a little bit more nice. And yeah, in the case of my vampire journal, I covered the hair also with gesso, because I wanted it to be also a surface where it is glued to the cover. But this mermaid thing, I think it could be nice if, oopsala, that was a little bit too much. Okay, so just learned that you have to do that a little bit carefully. I thought perhaps it would be nice when some of the original hair could be shown. Perhaps when you make a book for a child or something like that, or for a girl in, yeah, this mermaid age, then it also could be cool when you can touch the hair like this and it's not all covered up. But that are all the things that I can't tell you before I do it, because sometimes, yeah, this project, of course, you want a tutorial, yes, I know that, but it's very difficult to make a tutorial on this, because there are so many things where you have to decide some things in the situation where they come to you. And that's the problem. It may look not such professional what I'm doing here, but I want to say there are some things where you have to be a little bit flexible with your things that you do. When you see, okay, I have a problem here, that you don't go with my tutorial, but that you think, okay, I can change it a little bit and do with my doll what my doll tells me. So you know what I mean. Sometimes the hair is not such nice or something like that, and then you perhaps have to change your plan. And yeah, for me, that's the interesting point about this crafty things, because I don't like to go the straight way and do, yeah, exactly that what is shown in a tutorial, because I think you can learn so much when you do it a little bit more in your own style and with your own solutions of this whole thing. Yeah. So the main problem of the decision with the hair is that, as I said, the hair is also a surface to glue. So when you have this big thing here where the hair is, you have a very big surface to excuse me, to make sure that this is glued on the cover. And yeah, I think I think we have to do it like this. And when you have only a half Barbie doll, then that would also be a little bit easier, because you have it a little bit easier to glue. So yeah, a little bit hard to explain. So let's see how this will work. And I make sure that I have everything there where I want it before I add the Mod Podge, because that will dry very, very fast, and yeah, I can't move anything without having this gluey thing everywhere. But I think that would be nice. Just have to check how that looks when it is like this. Yeah, I think we will do it like this. So let's first glue this upper part. For that I take this thing here. Of course, you can also take any other glue that you have, but I think this Mod Podge thing is very cool because, yeah, it dries very fast and it's very sticky. So I tried that out and I thought, okay, can that be the right thing? But then I recognized that this is really good. Book binding glue could be a good idea too, I think, because that dries very fast too. Or this wood glue, I think you can take that also. And I put a very thick layer to this so that I have a little bit of time to get this in place. And I hold the hair like this, and first I bring it in place like I want it here, and then I carefully put it here. Then I press it here, so this is of course not glued yet, only the parts that are under this whole thing. And I try to get a little bit of this shape that I want to have later. And then I go to the inside of this skirt and make sure that this fabric is glued here to the cover. And I have different layers here of this fabric. So I take my brush and add a good portion of this Mod Podge thing here, so that this here will hold nearly the whole thing to the book cover. And then yeah, do it like this. Then I just put something here where the rest of this thing will come to the cover. And then I will take it, and let me just cut this here off. I think we don't need that. And I leave this upper part here, that I have a little bit more control under this skirt, and that it's not too flat here, and I have the possibility to bring it here. And I just think this little stars here will glow in the dark. If that is an important thing to hear, but that could be perhaps interesting. But I think when we put the gesso over it, I think it will not be shown through the gesso, this glowing material. Okay, so I also go in here with my hand and press this a little bit down. Just make sure that I have this little shape here. And I think we can try to use this here to make a little knot around, to get this shape of this mermaid thing. Perhaps like this. Don't know if I will leave that like this, but let's just try it, how that looks. I'm not sure if that will work. Okay, I think if we would put something like this around here, hopefully that's long enough. Okay, that's too much. Is that visible as a mermaid leg thing? Don't know. I'm not so happy about this here, but you can also, of course, paint something here so that it looks a little bit more dimensional as it is here. I have to think about this a little while. I will be back then. Yeah, I think so. I just took those things a little bit out and made them a little bit longer so that they are more visible as that what they should be. And sorry about my weird English, it's a very hard job for me to explain this in some way, because sometimes I don't know how this will end, and yeah. So I think this shape is more like I want it. And now I have to put something of this Mod Podge under it, because in the meantime it dried a little bit too much, so that I, yeah, just give it another coat of this thing, place it here and press the things that are right on top of the cover. This has to be a little bit more here, and then we can do it like this later. Okay, I think that will work, hopefully. And the more of this waves you have here, the more interesting the whole thing will look in the end, I think. So yeah, make sure that you have in mind what your goal is, what you want to do with it, and then try to get the shape of it in this first step. I think that will be the easiest way, because this Mod Podge glue, or yeah, is it a glue? I think it glues, so it is a glue. It's yeah, it's very, how should I say it? It's very flexible, so it dries fast, but you can move it around a little bit, and when you have this shape, you have an easier job to cover this up with the gesso later. And I also, on this point, go here into this hair with a second layer of this Mod Podge, because it's easier to glue the hair with Mod Podge than with gesso. I don't know why, but yeah, I had a very hard job in this first case there with the vampire, so I decided to do it like this, and I see that's really easy to attach. Just make sure that you hold the doll a little bit in place on the head or somewhere, that it can't move around when you cover this hair surface. And of course I only go in this direction with my brush and not back, otherwise I would have a really big mess here with my hair, and the single fibers of the hair are very tricky and they can bring you to a point where you think, okay, I will never do that again. I don't like it. But this will give you a really, really cool structure. And I think when a mermaid is under the water, the hair would not be like this straight way. So when I covered it up with the Mod Podge, I can take some tool like this here or some other thing, and I can bring the hair in a perhaps a little bit wavy structure that looks like she is under the water. And of course, when you have waves on the hair like this, it looks much more interesting, I think, like when it's straight. But it's easier to get the most of this thing here covered up with the glue before you make the hairstyle. You can move this fibers around much more easy than without gluing it and then trying to get this in shape and then glue, because yeah, it's a little bit fluffy and way too flexible. Okay, so, and when I have this, I will also give some of this Mod Podge to the end of this thing here, this hair, very carefully, because I don't want to destroy the rest that I created before, of course. But in this area, I think it's important that it is glued down, even if it looks perhaps a little bit weird, and the hair disappears to the background later. But I think it's too dangerous when you don't glue it like I do it here, and when you use not enough glue, then perhaps that can fall apart later, and yeah, that would be not so nice. And the cool thing is, when you have this structure here, you can also add some colors like brushes or some sprays, some inks or something like that, and that will give you a really cool surface for this color effects that you perhaps would do on an art journaling page or something like that. And I like that. So when the color comes through this single fibers here of the hair, that can look really nice. And you have to make sure that this will dry and it will stay in the shape that you create in this step. So you can't do anything later. You can't change it like you could change this fabric here. So what you do here will stay forever. And the small fibers here, I don't care about them because I can cut them later, but the main hair will stay like you put it here. And this will become really hard and really sturdy. And yeah, so that you are sure that this is nicely glued. But as I said, you can't do anything with it later. Yeah. And sometimes it would not stay there where you want it. But that's not too bad, because you can also press it down a little bit with the gesso later. And now we will leave it like this. So if you have the feeling that this is not very sturdy or something like that, then please put a clamp or something like that here. But you can let it dry like it is now, like it is here. I will prepare the other both in the same way. I will speed up the video because, yeah, you know the process now. And then you can watch me doing this. And later on, I will tell you the second step. Okay, just a little note in between. I like to have the hair a little bit here around the face, because when I later on paint the face and I would like to add the new eyes and all the shadings and that stuff that you could see in my original vampire thing, then it's easier for me to handle that. So as you could see, normally the Barbie doll's hair is, let me show you on another one, it's attached to the head in this way here, as you can see. And when you have it like this, so yeah, then it comes not like it should come down. So not like it would be when you have your own hairstyle or something like that. This hair from here wouldn't come to the face here on the sides, and you have to yeah, fight a little bit against this hair to get it to the sides here. But I think when you do it like this and you glue the hair a little bit to the head, it's a little bit tricky that it sticks, because yeah, it's plastic on plastic, and yeah, a little bit tricky that it stays there. Then you have a more natural look of this whole thing. It looks more like a human being and less than a Barbie doll. And what my experience is that you can shade and paint the face later on much more easy than when you leave the hair like it is. And yeah, you have to decide how you want the hair. As I said, when you put it like this and then this is dry, then it's very hard and not flexible anymore. So I make sure that I have the details here of the hair there where I want them. But I'm just struggling a little bit with this piece of the hair because it won't stay here, but I go over it here several times while this thing gets dry, and then I see that it don't lifts up anymore, and I know that it will stay here. And another thing that you have to know is that you have to make sure that you don't have any of those little fine fibers across the face, because you need yeah, a very good surface to paint your face on later. And when you glue a fiber of the hair by accident to the face, then you will never get it away from there, because it sticks so much that you can't lift it up. So yeah, I make sure that I don't have any fibers of this shitty hair in the face. And yeah, when this is dry, we can do the next step. And sometimes it may be necessary that you have to clamp the doll to the book cover with something, or you can also put something heavy on top on some places, that it stays there. But yeah, in the most cases it will stick with the fabric and the hair and such things, so that it is very sturdy. Okay, so the next thing that you have to do is to let this dry until it is really, really dry. And as you can see, the body of this little doll here is not such good suitable here for this whole thing. I made this little thing here in the back that yeah, should be something like the wings or something like that. So in the end it could look like a little fairy or something like that. And to get this thing glued down here, I take this thing here, this little pot, and I put it to the place in the middle of her body, so that this stands here, and yeah, that it is pressed down. Why am I using this? So the frame here of the pot comes to the fabric of this little t-shirt here, and there I know is no glue. All the rest is covered up with glue, so that I have no chance to put something heavy onto it without gluing this, what I put onto it, to the cover. So I yeah, found this solution, because here is nothing, and it only touches it here, so yeah, nothing can happen. You can also put another one, yes, I think we have to do that, to the head. So because when you press it down here, it can happen that the head comes up. So I take a second pot and press it here to the head, so that everything goes down here. Looks a little bit weird, but yeah, it is doing what it have to do. And now I wait until my three things here are really, really dry, and then I will show you the next step.